Hello everyone, welcome to this devlog. As you can tell, I now have a name for my game. Kagare is a Japanese-inspired first-person horror game. There is still some changes I want to make to the title, but for now, this will have to do. This is devlog-1 with the game. The previous devlog was more of an intro. On that note, I want to get some things out of the way. First thing, this devlog doesn't contain final renders, and there is very little interesting bits that I worked on. This is just an overview of some refactoring and additions I made to the game. Moving forward with official devlogs, I will try to have an introduction section, a technical overview and problems, and hopefully some type of final render of things working. So if this sounds too boring, you don't have to watch this video. Second thing, I did say official devlog. I will be changing how I make these devlog videos. This took a while for me to make, and honestly, I didn't really make that much progress. Not only do I have to make progress on the game after work, I also have to record everything, make it entertaining, not show too much of the game, all while actually trying to debug problems that come with developing. So I will instead take as much time as I need to gather clips and showcase problems and new features. But I will make shorts in between these devlogs. So after this devlog 1, I can make a short that is devlog 1.1, etc. This makes it easier for me to focus on the game while not boring you guys too much. And also, I got rid of the subtitles since it takes too long to edit videos. Okay, that's the TLDR. Let's move on to the video. There are two very important things I have been working on. Number 1 is item refactoring, and number 2 is animations. Items and item interactions in a horror games are super important in my opinion. Horror games can sometimes feel like walking simulations, so events and items are the gameplay. You can make puzzles, enemy or entity interactions, environment changes to fit the setting, or change in setting. They can aid the main aspect of the game, which in this case is the story. That's usually the main aspect in any horror game. So beforehand, this is how I created my game items. I have a base game item class, and I just make new extending classes for any item I want to make. The problem with this approach is that I have to redo a lot of code initializing the model instance and body and sensor. There are also a lot of checks for things. If I want to see if the sensor has made contact with another item, I need to check for the instance of that class and check the ID every frame. So the three big things added on these refactored items is definers, components, and use effects. The definer contains all important init data, so the ID, model path, collision type, filter, components, and use effects. The definer is more verbose, but now I don't have to look for extra checks when initializing, and if I need any initial data, I just access the definer to create an item instead of manually setting these parameters. This new system uses Ashley entities. These are just data blocks. They contain any data I want in the form of components. You add the component to the entity, and now all you have to do to access these components is access the entity, which is easy because they are all added to the engine when initialized. I can make a global component for attaching to the player, hand socket, or for adding to the inventory. I can also make specific components for certain items, then there is no need for constant checks. With this in mind, I created a testing scene for items. Currently, I am working on a hammer and nail items interaction. Seems simple enough, but just like the door problem, I will keep adding things to the items until I have what I need. This has to be modular and only called on when needed. And it is working great. I have an attached to socket component, inventory component, transforms component, sound component, and animation component. And use effects are also added, but they are different from components because they are only for usable items. I can use a hammer, but not a nail. I can only find or place a nail. I can use a lantern as well. I find that by refactoring my items to be more efficient. The other thing I have been working on is animations. So far, I only have a component that I can add to either the player or items to set animations. Honestly, there is still much work to be done in this department, especially since I have to also learn to animate things. I don't really want generic animations from free sites though. For this prototyping phase, I will do so. Unfortunately, that's all the progress I have made so far. Not much, but it's honest work. I plan to have all items added and working soon, and maybe a better system for animations. IDK, maybe I'll keep it as components. Afterwards, I will be focusing on blocking out the main world and adding game mechanics and events for progression. Hopefully, I will showcase a part of the game and the progress made in it. Okay, that's it for now. Goodbye.